Your video's turned off at the moment, Joe.
Okay.
You're back, brother, you're back. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So I am joined by a special guest. I have Joe Christlow on the show. Hello, Joe.
Now then.
Hello, brother. And how are you doing today?
Very well.
Good, good. So for all of those who don't know who you are, tell the listeners a bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. Well, to keep it simple, I like to swim in the sea. I like to offer prayers to the great mystery, to myself. I like to sit in meditation, in silence. I enjoy the simple possibilities of this existence, of this life, to commune with others in vision and enjoy the finer things. This life's taken me on a mad journey, and it led me here on this social media platform where for a while it was a bit scary to actually put a story out there. It was like, what, artificial intelligence and all this stuff. Now I'm like, yeah, okay, let's just go with it. Be myself in my power. So hopefully I can share something. It might resonate, might bring joy, love, peace to your life, I hope.
Thank you, brother. And so how did you get onto the path then? So what was the path like being for you, and what brought you onto this, just the spiritual path, the sacred path? What were those transitions for you, and how did you come onto this path?
Yeah, the spiritual path is ingrained in the DNA, in my experience in day one. Not that I can remember that, but as a child, I always felt not quite connected to what was going on. I always felt quite different. And there came a time 7 years ago when I walked into a Sundance Ceremony in Colombia for the first time. And it was like, okay, this is the tribe. This is the ones, this is the people I'm supposed to be sharing this life with. So I would say from a young age, in some kind of my own integrity of just be myself, going through school. Looking back now, I can see I was always not against, you know, this authority, but there was something I always had inside me, just supporting me to just be myself and express myself the best way I could, in the honest way I could. So it led me into the red road. I would say that was the beginning, as well as the medicines of the South America, the people, the culture, the traditions, the wilderness.
So when you went on to this journey to Colombia, was this a part of your traveling? And it kind of was a bit of a synchronistic event that you went to Colombia, or was you going there to see the Sundance, or was it just something which jumped on your path and said hello? this way?
Yeah, man. I mean, I knew nothing about the Red Road or the Sundance. All I knew after doing a bit of traveling from like 16, I was out, left school, and my mum said, "Oh, you know, you're not going, you're too young." Took the passport, went away with friends, got in trouble, got in damaged bones, broken bones, you know, stuff that
being a kid, being a teenager.
Yeah, looking back, mum was right, you know, but for me, I have to experience it myself, you know, at least at the beginning. Now I can actually pick a bit of wisdom out of other people's experiences. Therefore, I don't have to go through that whole drama myself. So I went through, you know, that kind of experience of just walking my own path until I was about 22. And then I made a decision to go to Guatemala. I was called of South America, Central America. I ended up in Guatemala when I was 22. I made the decision and I went there at 23. I organized an internship in Costa Rica where I was there 6 months. And I learned a bit of Spanish in Guatemala, started getting into a bit of bhakti, yoga, meditation. The intention to go was just to truly go on an introspective journey on my own. I had no plans other than I was just going to be honest with myself and accept it all, whatever it was to be would be. So I went to Guatemala, Central America. I did the internship in Costa Rica. I learned a little bit about permaculture for 6 months, traveling, hitchhiking, really just in my own power, really. But there was always that little connection that was missing of this spiritual connection where I was yet to receive any teachers in my life or anyone that could just say, oh, do this, do that. And, you know, I was always just on my own path. So I ended up on a sailing boat in Panama, sailed down to a bit in the Caribbean, ended up in Colombia. And then I ended up in Colombia and I was invited to some ceremonies which led me on to this path. As soon as I arrived in Colombia, I was just following my nose, going with the flow, and I was invited to incredible ceremonies, and from one to the other, it led me to the Sundance, which I knew nothing about.
Outstanding. So when you went to that Sundance, what was specifically what drawed you into that? What was it, the way they were doing that celebration of life? And for me, going into something like that, it's because you're so brought up to be this certain way and kind of like, you know, in the system in England or whatever, you go to that and you see this expression of people living in, say, freedom, living in happiness and stuff like that. What was it going through your mind when you saw that, and what drew you to, right, this tradition of the Sundance medicine path, or whatever path it is the path I'm going to go down?
Yeah, there wasn't much thought involved. It was just, this feels good. It was some kind of, maybe to many it could have been viewed as a mystical adventure, but to me it was the most logical experience of my traveling, and it just made sense, everything connected, the way of fasting. So the Sundance, to go into some brief explanation, is a 4-day ceremony of which you spend 4 days purification with Native American sweat lodges, which are called the Niti ceremony. And to go even further back than the Sundance, to bring up the prophecy of the condor and eagle. It's an ancient prophecy which has been envisioned by the indigenous nations of the Americas for many, many years. And now is the time where this prophecy is being lived out. So the ceremony is being shared with from the North America with the South America. Plant medicines of the South traveling up north, ayahuasca, San Pedro, Wachuma, the coca, the ambil. This is traveling to the north, and from the north, there are medicines being brought down to the south, which is the Sundown Ceremony, the Vision Quest. And somehow I stumbled across this prophecy and heard the stories of how it became, how the stories of the north arrived in the south, and vice versa. So the ceremony starts with 4 days purification, and then it moves into a 4-day dance. 4-day dance, which is waking up in the morning before the sun with it in an Niti ceremony, sweat lodge, and then dancing around a tree all day. And then the end of the evening, another sweat lodge, and then the bed in the teepees, and then again for 4 days. So there's no food or water which is being ingested at this time, just solely a fast and the connection with the Great Spirit. So, I mean, I didn't join in the first time. It was, you know, usually before the Sundown ceremony, before involving yourself, there comes a vision quest, which is called the Hamblecha in Lakota, the Lakota language. And this is a 4-day journey into the mountain on your own, usually a coming of age. When you're a boy and you're moving into becoming a man, it's 4-day ceremony of being on the mountain, no food, no water, just learning how to send a voice, to connect with our ancestors, to connect with the great mystery, to connect with energy, to connect with life, to recognize ourselves as a part of the puzzle in this, this incredible painting. So yeah, so there's usually a 4-day vision quest, and then it leads on to a sundown. So for me, it was just the initial viewing of this Sundown ceremony, and I met chiefs from the north and native Lakota chiefs. I met native indigenous elders from the Amazon jungle. And they came from all over the land, all over the Americas, to unite with one prayer for the people, to recognize ourselves as all natives, as one tribe, as one nation, as the rainbow prophecy also recognizes us all as humans, as one nation, as one heart, one love.
Beautiful. And so the purification start of the ceremony was that, so it was did you say 4-day fast, and was it sweat lodges? And so for those listening who are not aware what a purification ceremony is, do you want to explain and go into a little bit more detail of what purifying means for the individual going through it?
Yes, so the Sundance begins with 4 days purification, which is a sweat lodge every day for 4 days for sundances and also for supporters. And then after this 4 days of purification, we move into the Sundown Ceremony to dance around the tree. So purification itself in this tradition is the Inipi ceremony plays a big part, which is the sweat lodge ceremony. It's traditionally built out of willow tree, covered with tarp or traditionally with buffalo hide. And then in the center of this lodge is a circle which is dug out to put stones in there, warm stones. And with this earth that we take out from the middle of this lodge, we place in front of the Inipi door. And we make this our altar. This represents the turtle island of America, of this planet. And then from this turtle altar, it moves the umbilical cord to the fire. And this fire is where we warm the stones. We warm these ancient grandmothers, these ancient grandfathers, the first nation of this planet, the mineral nation. And then from there we have a half moon altar of stones surrounding and cradling the feminine aspect, nurturing the fire, the masculine. So with the fire we warm up the stones, and then we take the stones into the lodge, the Inipi representing the womb, going back into our womb, the place of rebirth. So once the stones have been warmed up by the fire, we take these stones into the Inipi lodge. We close the door, and the chief of the ceremony pours the water. And in those moments, it's dark, and it begins to get warm. It warms up. It pours the water. And on a physical level, our grandest organ of our body, of our human experience, the skin, opens up. Our skin breathes. We release toxins. We sweat. And we move through physical body, emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body. We make this ceremony in four rounds. The physical body, we open the door after 7 stones, and we bring 7 more stones in, and we close up, and we move into the emotional body. we move into the nation of plants, the water nation. And through this purification, we move through our physical, our emotional, our mental, and we move into our spiritual, purify all our known bodies in this human experience. And we get to see ourselves, perhaps. If we're truly blessed, we get to see ourselves. And that might be, I need to get out of here, you know. So we get to see our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, our weaknesses, our powers, our courage.
And that's it, is being vulnerable in that way, and knowing that everyone is a human being at the end of the day, and we all have our parts and our parts of ourselves which need to be looked at. And through these rituals, ceremonies, purification, sweat lodges, we're able to rediscover ourselves. And that's a journey I've gone through, and the hard journey I've gone through of realizing my ego, realizing my shadow, realizing all of those parts of me which need to be let go of. And through those ceremonies which you talk about, they've helped me let go of that, in a sense that I'm able to be there and just know that it's all right. Everyone is equal on exactly the same, like the medicine wheel says, we're all in the equal, we're all in this journey going through each cycle. And yeah, it's great, like, for you saying those words, because personally I resonate a lot with the words you're saying, because I do a lot of that, the looking into the medicine Sundance path, Native American cultures and traditions. So it's beautiful what you're saying, and I like the similarities, how when you're talking about the sweat lodge, you were connecting everything, like the womb, the birthing process. And that's, I feel that a lot of that's missing in the world. A lot of us understanding the feminine, the umbilical cord, going back to that fetus in the womb, being the fetus in the womb, in that infinite world energy. It's beautiful what you're saying, Joe. I really think that's outstanding. So what was it like for you? You don't have to tell us exactly your experience, because that might be sacred to you. What was it like for you doing those sweat lodges and going through that process yourself?
It's very sacred, and it's very necessary to share these ways of life. I mean, each individual has their own experience, and I feel some things are just unexplainable, and you know, they're to be experienced, but with the intention to be able to share some motivation and inspiration for others, and to connect myself to those moments of, you know, I was like running around, baggy trousers, proper hippie style, no shoes on, like, you know, just been dragged out of some kind of, you know, hippie cave. that's how it was. That's how I felt. That's how I am now. I just somehow learned a little bit more along the way. So yeah, through this way of life with the Red Road, I learned a lot about commitment, you know, with the Vision Quest. So after experiencing the Sundance as a supporter, I was invited to a Vision Quest, and I made that decision to put myself forward, to go to the mountains, to learn, to see myself, to find out a way to send a voice. No one ever showed me. When I was younger, I used to pray a lot. I didn't know what or who I was praying to. It just always felt like there was some deep, there was something else going on. I didn't know what it was. So I went out there, and one of the most incredible human beings I ever met invited me to make the Vision Quest with him. And I sat there, and 4 days in the mountain, and got to see myself. And that led me on to making Sundances, which has been 6 years now. So for me, before, it was always just go with the flow, you know, you don't need any plans. You're just free, man, you know. I am free. Still, I learned a little bit about commitment, about going there 4 days every year to Vision Quest on the other side of the world. And that was like the retreat. That was the easy bit in a way. Then it was like that. And then you come home and you live with family, and you're moving in the old pattern, you get to see yourself then. And that's when the real work begins. So it's been a big path to be able to occasionally sit in humbleness and to just see how it unfolds, and to see how trying so hard will just block many of the vital nutrients of experience that are looking for you in life. To recognize the traumas of times gone by, and to just sit in a simple space with meditation or prayer, to give thanks and say the words out loud for who you care about, what you'd like to change, what you'd like to see happen. For all this, I learned a lot about commitment, humbleness, responsibility. And yeah, to bring that back to the family, a big part of my prayer was to, I wanted to go and live in a cave for all my life. How simple to go and live in a cave or a desert island. But then I started to go to caves, and I spent time in caves, and I sat there, and I went to desert islands, the San Blas Island, deserted, sailing and getting delivered to islands and sitting there, sleeping there, catching fish, and there was always something missing. It was like, oh, the sun, the sea, the coconut, there's something missing. And for me, it was the possibility to be able to walk, live, breathe, this path of reflection in the place where I'm from, to my people, this place where, and that's necessary for many people. But for me, after doing all this and going to Colombia and meeting the indigenous people and meeting all these traditional medicine, this way of life, it brought me back to my home in Yorkshire, in northeast of Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
Yeah, man.
Going all through the shamans to Yorkshire.
Yeah, man. And I wanted to go and live in the jungle, and I wanted to live in North America with Lakota, but instead I came back home and I lived with my mom. I lived with my sisters, and I lived with my father. And this isn't easy. This is where the work happens, So like,
it's
to go
so
there,
true.
yeah, man. That's where the real work happens. So this is where I needed to be, because I was always, every day I'm looking at reflection of myself, and can't live if I'm not true to myself.
That's it.
So maybe that describes a little bit.
Yes, so that great words, man. Yeah, it reminds me of myself a little bit in that way. From the journey I went on, I was always looking for something. I was always engaging, finding something, finding that new thing to do to make me feel good, doing this, doing that course, until the point where I had to sit with my darkness. I had to sit with the parts of me which were, I'd say the word zealot is the best word to describe it, where I was unaware what I was doing to others, to myself. And I had to go through those moments of working on myself, learning, like you say, about the 7 directions and learning about the medicine wheel. It's important that every single part of that wheel, there's so many lessons to learn, and taking your time is important, like you say, just enjoying life, but yeah, being true to yourself. And like you say, back home, you realize more of work to do about yourself. And I had to go through even though now I've got so much shit to do, every week I'm dealt with stuff I need to work on, but it resonates with me what you're saying, that the real work comes with relationship, the real work comes with communication and speaking to people, family, friends, so on and so forth.
I hope.
Brother. And yeah, so what are you doing now then? So you say you're doing yoga.
Well, right now I'm off for a piss.
There we go.
But I can continue talking.
Yeah, no problem.
So what I'm doing now is I'm going in the sea. I'm going in the sea most days, swimming. Okay. I get to have a bit of a ritual with myself and the sea, I get to go into the sea and just swim. Like, maybe about 10 minutes or something in the North Sea.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, a little bit of meditation if I feel like it, a bit of a stretch. Then I run down to the sea, jump in, swim, and that just does me. That's like, you know, that's what I'm living for. That connection with wilderness, for me to be able to experience wilderness through my own body, through my own mind and my emotions, and to recognize how necessary it is to be in the wilderness, to be wild.
Yeah.
So I do that in the morning. I go
I think,
down and
I think you're the first person on the Talking Stick show to have a piss on the show. So I've got an award for you. That's so good. I love that, man. That's so cool.
what's that?
And you know, when you went to the toilet, first person on the show to go to the toilet on the show. So
Yeah, well, it
funny.
was only a piss. If I need, yeah, so it's
But
easy enough.
so yeah. So going back, so when you go to the sea, is there so do you like indulging into cold water? Then is that something you regularly do? Because that's something I've just got into about 7 months ago. Was going into really cold waters, natural waters, to really, like you say, feel
Yeah.
those natural elements.
Yeah, I've been doing this a few years, like cold baths, cold showers. But for me, the cold sea is the best ever.
Yes.
Like the sea, like there's some kind of relation there. Like when you present yourself to the sea and the sun's rising, and you see the sea, you see the sun rising. You know, Amperweed, the morning star, as they call in Lakota. You see this rising, and you go and indulge yourself in that experience, that ritual that happens every day. You know, I don't want to create new rituals and be like, oh, this is the new one. And just go with the flow of what's already there. You know, sun rises every morning, so when the sun rises, I go for a swim in the sea. And you know, working with the moons, maybe I do something on full moon. Different kind of ceremonies for myself, for connection to these kind of ways. So this is the day to day. I go in the sea, go for a swim, come back, do some kind of exercise, go in a nice warm bath usually. I've been doing some sound journeys, sound bath experiences, which is, you know, didgeridoo, drum, people lying down, yoga first, meditation, sometimes cacao. Just to really bathe in that vibration of sound, like, you know, it feels good. For a long time, I didn't really understand how to be able to share how I feel, which is love, just love and joy, you know. I thought I had to only experience that internally, but now somehow I've maneuvered, found a way to process what I learned and to share that with people, like around here in north of England, usually, sometimes in south. So I do a lot of yoga sound journeys, and after doing the 4 Vision quests, and now I've been Sundance in 6 years. I'm starting to make Inipi ceremonies as well, which means that I pour the water. I hold the space during that kind of ceremony, which a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, the chief, he says to me, you know, it's okay coming here and learning all these ways, but you need to take this back to your people, you know. You got to take this. And it said, the chief or chief, Leonard Prodog, who the lineage travels into Colombia, of how I've learned this, he would say, this isn't a Lakota ceremony, it's a human ceremony. I never met him, but this is the words I received from passing it on. And I took this on, and this is a human ceremony. You know, this is a Lakota tradition, and with their openness and their sharing, they get to share this ceremony with us, and in a good way, with respect, with honor, and with love in my heart, and the support of all these ancestors, all these nations who did this in the past. I feel deeply connected to share this now on this land, England. So I make these ceremonies, and for many years, I could have been doing it, but nobody said, oh, you know, we need you to do this. And I didn't want to push anything. So this year, many people come and ask me and say, we need this medicine now. So this is what I'm doing, sharing this medicine with the people, myself.
Outstanding. And so the ceremony is something which I recommend as well. It's something I do, personal fire ceremonies. And for me, I've had a big journey on fire ceremonies when I did them a while ago. And from my understanding of it, like you just said then, was the importance of everyone, you know, learning themselves and then taking the ceremony into their personal life. And that's what we need at the moment on the planet. What we need, like people like you, to show people how to do personal ceremony, how to go through that mode themselves and go through that, say, dance, like you say, the Sundance, their personal dance, where they can have a time of the month, which I do, where I can come to the ceremony and I can cry, I can dance, I can laugh, and I can just let go of sorry.
Go on, brother. Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
So just a point in the ceremony where I can kind of have my space and let go of all the month which has passed. And it's a sacred thing which the ancestors have had through and taught through, say, your traditions, your teachers. Going back, Joe, to you talked about how important teachers are. Before we close, just a bit about why you need teachers in your life and how important finding those right teachers are to help yourself.
Yeah. Well, as for the sweating, there's been ruins found in the Orkney Islands, in Ireland. We've been sweating here on this land thousands of years. The teachers of our land, we're native here, you know, we're native to this land. And our elders, our indigenous elders, have been also targeted for thousands of years, in particular, a couple of thousand years ago. And many of these ways were lost, you know, when we've been brought into this world now, we're lucky to have parents who love us. We're lucky to have brothers and sisters. These are our first teachers. And some of our greatest teachers are not those who walk a true path, but those who walk a slightly painful, traumatic path. Because sometimes I see people and they teach me, and I thought that that's how it was, and now I see that's not how I want to be. So everyone that you'll ever meet is a teacher. If you can see something there what resonates with a truth or an untruth, that's their path, and we all have our own path. So to invite that, to invite truth, to invite the possibility to reap and sow teachings from all our experiences, everything we're doing. We can see everyone as a teacher, everything, ourselves, the wind, the sea, Native American teachers and elders and chiefs. Somehow I was blessed for this. You know,
that's it.
You know, I've been blessed.
Outstanding, brother. And that's it, seeing everyone as a teacher. I see my father passed away probably about 5 months ago. His death, his life, my mum, even though they didn't do anything spiritual my mum doesn't do any spiritual practice or work like that. It was a big teacher for me to realize how everyone is, how I have to respect, and I have to respect everyone, even though they're not on my path or not doing what I'm doing, spiritual work. They've got that. There was that hindsight for me to seeing my mum as a big teacher, even though she wasn't teaching me the spiritual stuff, for me to figure out myself. And for my dad, when he passed over, he taught me more things about myself. And I saw all my family members as teachers, and they all were, and I was so blessed to have them on. And like yourself, other people, we're all just these teachers showing us the way back to ourselves.
That's the one, brother. Teacher is the experience itself.
Outstanding. And yeah, I'd like to say thank you for coming on, bro. I've wanted you on for a while. I've had a bit of a break of TalkingStickShow, so I'm glad you finally came on, and I'd like to eventually meet up with you at some point. I'm sure one event will coincide at some point in the future.
Yeah, man, we all family. We're all family, and we're all teachers, and we're all students as much as the next. And together we can create an incredible nation of unified presence to move forward in these days of in peace and abundance. Times may be hard, but yeah, you know, as for teachers, look more for family, look more for tribe, as to look for somebody who can help you transform your life. That's always going to be you. You'll always be the greatest teacher you're ever going to meet. So offer yourself love and respect. Light a candle for your own life now and then. Light some sage. So give yourself blessings. And if you're listening to this, I'm sending blessings. This is a blessing to be here. I'm alive. I'm present. I'm a part of this great mystery. And Wakantanka Tonkashila, this is the great mystery, and this is where I pray. This is where I send a voice.
And how can people get a hold of you if they want to do come to any of your events? Yeah. So sometimes it's majority smoke signals still, you know, to take it to the traditional way. So just send a smoke signal. No, keep an eye out to the north.
Yeah, just keep lighting fires. And, you know,
keep staring up.
Yeah, you'll find the right way. Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, and I'm just starting to get into social media. You know, for a long time I was like, I don't need it, but yeah, on Facebook is the best one. Just to get in touch and just go with the flow. You know, just listen to yourself, and if you feel a connection, you wanna connect with me, then yeah, Facebook is a good one. Or through you, and you let me know, and we go from there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. And yeah, I'll thank you for coming on the show.
Yes! Yeah, man!
Yes!
I'm alive!
I'm alive. Thank you so much,
I'm in love, brother. With the full force of love. Thank you, brother, for what you're doing. And
it's
a blessing to be on this path.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching as well. And yeah, any comments, please subscribe to the YouTube, and all the information for myself and Joe is on there. So take care, everyone. God bless. Bye-bye.
Aho, Matakuyasi. Aho, we're all related.
Aho, brother. See you later, guys.